We've all been there, right? Standing by a door, sitting alone at a table, checking your phone for the 10th time. The person you're waiting for still hasn't shown up, and a quiet thought pops into your head. They're late. Again. Maybe you let out a little sigh. Maybe you just smile because you're used to it. Or maybe you feel a tiny knot of frustration because something as small as lateness can feel surprisingly heavy. Lateness seems so ordinary, almost harmless, until it becomes a pattern. And let's be honest, we all know someone who is chronically late. Maybe we are that person. But here's the thing most people never talk about. Being late usually has nothing to do with time management. It's psychological, it's emotional, it's about how someone relates to pressure, to expectations, and even to themselves. People who are chronically late don't just need a better watch. They operate on a completely different internal clock. For some, time is a constant race. For others, it's a fluid, flexible thing that will always be there. And for many of the time just feels overwhelming and confusing. These people rarely intend to cause any harm. They don't wake up in the morning plotting to make you wait. Most of the time, they are fighting quiet, internal battles with stress, anxiety, avoidance, or just the need for one more moment of calm before they have to face the day. Let's picture their morning. They genuinely believe they have more time than they actually do. They get ready, thinking they'll finish everything just in time, but then one small, unplanned task, like replying to an email or tidying in one last thing, throws their whole schedule off. Their mind calculates time based on hope, not reality. Psychologists call this a form of emotional It's like planning your life as if everything will always go perfectly, with no traffic, no distractions, and no unexpected delays. That's one layer of the problem. But there's another transitions. For some people, shifting from one activity to another is emotionally difficult. The act of getting out of bed, stopping at tasks they're enjoying, or even just walking out the door feels heavy. Each of these small hesitations adds up. A few seconds here, a minute there, and before they know it, they're 20 minutes behind. So when someone says, "I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to be late," believe them. Most of the time, they are telling the absolute truth. But that doesn't change the fact that for the person waiting, lateness feels personal. It feels like a small broken promise, a sign of disrespect, even when the intention was good. What's fascinating is that chronic lateness often comes from caring too much, not too little. The types of people who struggle most with time are often perfectionists, overthinkers, and dreamers, those who are emotionally overwhelmed. Think about it. The perfectionist is always tweaking one last detail before they can leave. The person with anxiety is avoiding the thing that makes them nervous, delaying the moment they have to face it. The dreamer gets lost in thought and completely loses track of the minutes. The person who feels overloaded is being pulled in 20 different directions at once. And sometimes the roots go even deeper. Some grew up in chaotic homes where routines and schedules never existed, so they never learned an internal sense of timing. Others might be subconsciously rebelling against years of being controlled and micromanaged. And for some, underestimating time is a reflection of how they underestimate themselves and their ability to get things done. Behind every rushed apology, every breathless entrance, there's usually a cocktail of guilt, exhaustion, and quiet self-criticism. They are often their own harshest critics. What is surprising is that many chronically late people are incredibly reliable in ways a clock can't measure. They show up for you emotionally. They care deeply. They're the friend you can call at 3 a.m. Their lateness doesn't reflect their loyalty, it only reflects their struggle with the rigid structure of time. Their cycle is almost always the same. It starts with hope and optimism. This time, I'll be on time. Then comes the miscalculation, the overscheduling that leads to rushing, panic, and finally, regret. They promise themselves, "I'll do better next time." And then the cycle repeats. Because, again, lateness is emotional. Time is one of the most respectful gifts we can give another person. So when someone is consistently late, it creates this subtle imbalance in a relationship. Not a betrayal, just a misalignment. But it's rarely about disrespect. It's about a mind trying to cope. It's seeking comfort, avoiding stress, or simply trying to buy a little more space in a world that feels like it's moving too fast. Many latecomers live their lives in waves of emotion intensity, then calm, overwhelm, then distraction. Their timing follows their feelings, not the seconds on a clock. That's why just setting more alarms doesn't fix the problem. The issue isn't the alarm, it's the internal world they're trying to manage every single day. There are other hidden fears too. Some people fear arriving early and feeling awkward or judged while they wait. Others don't process time logically. They experience it emotionally, where 5 minutes can feel like an eternity or an instant, depending on their mood. And for some, lateness is a tiny, unconscious shield against their fears, the fear of being seen, of disappointing someone, of starting something difficult. Yet, these are often the same people who possess the most beautiful qualities. They tend to be incredibly creative, empathetic, and imaginative. Time slips away from them, not because they don't care, but because their minds are busy caring about so many other things. Of course, this doesn't mean lateness has no consequences. It creates stress for everyone involved, fuels guilt, and leads to misunderstandings. Chronically late people feel the weight of this far more than others realize. They also tend to put too much faith in their future self. They believe that tomorrow they'll have more energy, more motivation, and Marty Chimey. It's a comforting thought that quickly becomes a trap. But here, as the hopeful part, everything can begin to shift the moment someone understands their own patterns. When they finally see that their lateness is connected to emotional friction, not a character flaw. This awareness brings self-compassion, and self-compassion is what makes change possible. They start to learn that they just need more time than they think they do. They begin to notice what triggers their delays. Is it checking social media? Is it that one last task? They learn to prepare earlier, not out of fear, but as an act of kindness to their future selves. They stop trying to be perfect and start being honest with themselves about what they can realistically accomplish. And slowly, bit by bit, they create a new rhythm. They don't have to become a completely different person. They just learn to work with the person they already are. They discover that time isn't their enemy, it's something they can partner with. And this reveals a much deeper truth. People who are always late aren't broken or disrespectful. They're just human. Their struggle with time mirrors the parts of all of us that feel overwhelmed, that cling to a moment of peace, that fear judgment, or that just wish for a little more space to breathe. So whether you're the one who is always waiting or the one who is always arriving breathlessly, you know this feeling. Sometimes life just moves faster than our minds can keep up. The good news is that no one is stuck. Once you understand the why behind the lateness, even small steps can change everything. Awareness leads to adjustment. Adjustment builds new habits. And new habits create a healthier, happier relationship with time. In the end, perfect punctuality isn't even the real goal. The real goal is emotional clarity, understanding yourself well enough to navigate your life with intention, honesty, and a whole lot of self-compassion. Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos about the psychology of our everyday lives.